Hi everyone and welcome back to another video. So in today's video I'm going to be showing you all the books that are on my physical TBR before 60 books in 60 days. If you haven't watched my TBR video, you know that from February 1st to April 1st I'm going to be trying to read 60 books in 60 days. I got this video idea off Gina Lillian. Her channel will be in the description below along with her 60 books in 60 days playlist, so make sure to go over and subscribe to her. I thought it would be fun to make a video where I show you all my physical books, and then at the end of the 60 books 60 days ones I read from all of the books, because I do have a lot of unread books. So I'm going to stop rambling and let's just get right on into the video. So the first one we have is This Vicious Grace. This is a fantasy book. This one is more of, I want to say a more recent one, but I got it sometime last year and I haven't really heard anyone talking about this one or really reading it, so I don't know what it's about, and I think that's why I haven't quite read it yet, because I don't know the reviews on it. I don't know anything about it, but when I read the synopsis when I got it, it did sound really interesting, so there is no reason for why I haven't read it yet, but I am very excited to get into it. Then we have the rest of the Magnolia Park series. I can't remember what it's actually. We have the second book, which is Daisy Hates. I'm excited to start this one, as this one has obviously been on my TBR for a long time. The whole series has, as I read Magnolia Parks in December of 2023, so it's been a while, and I was thinking, do I reread Magnolia Parks, but then I decided not to, because I am more excited for this one. And Magnolia Parks I rated, I think it was 3 stars, but I do feel like I'm going to like this story more than this couple. And obviously we have the third book in the series, which is The Long Way Home. We have the fourth book, which is another Daisy Hates one, The Great Undoing, and then we also have the fifth book, which is Into the Dark, which is another Magnolia Parks one, and I believe this is the last book in the series. I don't know if we're going to get any more books. I do think this is the last one, but I could be wrong. Then we have Breakaway by Grace Riley, and we also have Stealing Home. This is the second and third book in the series. First book, it wasn't like a favourite, but I would like to get on into the rest of the series, as they are nice and quick reads. This one I'm hoping to start very soon, because I am planning on reading this one for a collab video that I'm going to be doing, so I am excited for this one. And then we also have this series. I'm not sure what this series is called, but we have Consider Me by Becca Mack. I'm excited for this one. I believe all of these ones are hockey romances. And then we have Play With Me, which is a captain's little sister, also I think best friend's little sister, so obviously I do like that trope, so I'm excited for this. Then we have Unravel Me, which is a single mother trope, again one of my favourite tropes, so I can't wait to get on into the last 2 books of the series, as those are the ones that keep my interest more. Then we have One Dark Window. This one I actually wanted to read last fall, but unfortunately never got to it. There was no reason for it, it's just I never picked it up. I wanted to read it in fall because I had loads of people say that it is better to read it in fall. I just never got round to it, and so hopefully I can get round to it during the 60 books in 60 days, as I was going to wait until this fall, but the only problem is I do actually want to read it. I don't want to wait until next fall, so I mean I might just read it and not worry about the seasonal stuff. And then we have My Dark Romeo, and again this one has been on my TBR for way too long, and it has been on many monthly TBRs as well, so it just needs to be read. There's no reason for why I'm not. At first I thought it was a mafia romance. It turns out it's not actually that. I'm not too sure what it's about specifically, as when I read the back it doesn't really make sense, so I might have to look on Goodreads and find out what it actually is about before going into it, or I can just go into it blind. But either way, I'm so excited for it, as it is from Parker St. Huntington. They are one of the writers, and I loved Darling Venom by this author, so I do feel like I am going to like this one as well. We have Light Lark. I'm so excited to start this series. I brought the book wanting to read it straight away, but I just haven't had a chance, just because I've been reading for videos or just reading because I have a deadline for like a certain book, so I haven't actually got to it yet, but again I'm hoping to get to it while doing this challenge, and I'm very excited for it because I've heard so many good things about this series, but this book in general, and I've heard that it just gets better. And then I want to continue with the series, which is City of Glass. I do have the rest of the series within this pile, but unfortunately I'm not going to be able to have all the books in order, as they are kind of all over the place. So we do have the third book. This is the next book I need to pick it up. Then we have Exodus. I have been wanting to pick this up since I ended the first book, because that ending was wild, but at the time I just couldn't pick it up. I didn't have the time to pick it up, so then I kind of just like lost interest sort of thing, but I do still want to continue with the series, so I do still have this that I want to read. And then we also have the third one, which is The Finish Line, and again I want to complete the series, because then that'll be another series off of my need to finish list. Then we have The Guest by B.A. Paris. I wanted to read this in January but never got to it. I have obviously read B.A. Paris's books and I actually do enjoy them, so I am excited to get into this one, as this is the first one that I wanted to originally read but never got to. The other ones I borrowed from the library and obviously they needed to go back, and this one I physically own, but this one does sound really good. It grabs my attention. I have hyped this up over the past like month or so I'm not going to talk about it too much, but I would like to get to it. Then I have Binding 13. Now the thing is I am currently reading this, but I just don't see me finishing it before February ends. I mean, I might finish it at the beginning of February, but like we have 2 days left of January, so I just can't imagine me finishing it with everything that I need to read. So I am going to add this one on, but whether I finish it before then or not is a different story, but I just can't imagine it, so I will add it on. Then we have all of this series. We have The Heir, The Rebel, The Bully, The Spy and The Savage. I've been wanting to read the series for a while. I've owned it for a while. I just haven't got to it. It's one of those things where it's like, I think I'm going to enjoy it, so I've been putting it off type thing, because I kind of want to binge read the series as well, so I read them back to back, and I just obviously haven't had the time to do that so far. Then we have Only a Monster by Vanessa Len. I haven't heard anyone talking about this. I haven't seen anyone reading it, so I don't really know much about it, and that is probably one of the reasons why I haven't picked it up, because sometimes I do like to know some people's opinions, whether they like it or not, but it does sound like an interesting concept. I am looking forward to it. Then we have King of Scars and Rules of Wolves. Now I am nervous for these books, as I wasn't a big fan of the Shadow and Bone trilogy and also the Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, and obviously this is from the same author and kind of in the same world if I remember correctly, so I am nervous. I just can't imagine me liking them, and I bought both of the books, which obviously at the time I thought I would enjoy Crooked Kingdom and that series, Six of Crows and stuff, but I didn't. Now I just can't decide whether I want to give those another go or just like go straight into these. I don't know, but I do have these on my TBR. Whether I decide to read them or not is a complete different story. Then we have Hex and the City. I don't remember much about the first book, but they are interconnected, I believe, so it doesn't really matter too much, but I do need to read this one. It does sound interesting. I was hoping to save it until October time, and I mean I might still do that because it's not one that's on like my immediate TBR, but just because I wasn't a big fan of the first book, I just don't know how I'm going to feel about this one, but I'm going to give it a go anyway. We have Fable. Now I have heard a few people talking about this one, not recently. This one was more popular in like, what, 2021, 2022? This used to be quite a popular book that everyone was reading at the time. I am excited for it. I'm just a little bit nervous because it is YA, and I'm just not big on YA stories anymore, so they are hit or miss for me, and that is why I'm a little bit nervous for this one. But I'm going to give it a go either way because it does sound interesting. I've heard good reviews about it, and I don't want the fact that it's YA to put me off. Then we have Look Both Ways. I picked this up not knowing anything about it, not seen anyone talking about it. I just saw it in the shop and I picked it up because it looked interesting and it sounded interesting. But now when I read the back, I'm like, I don't really fancy that anymore. So it's one of those where you buy it because it sounds interesting, you want to read it, and then when you take it home, you're like, I don't actually want to read this anymore. But I will get to it eventually. It's just not one that like I'm dying to read quite yet. And it is one that was at the back of my shelves, and I was like, oh, I have this one. It's also a book I kind of forgot I had. But it sounds interesting because it seems like some movies that I've watched where it's like in the middle of nowhere on the road, and then there's like this person, like just from the cover, it does look interesting. And then we do have the rest of Immortal Instruments series. So we have City of Fallen Angels, City of Lost Souls, and City of Heavenly Fire. Then we also have this one that kind of goes somewhere in the series, I'm not too sure where, but it's the Shadowhunters Codex, and so I'm looking forward to this because I've kind of like scanned it and there's like pictures and stuff, and it just looks fun and interesting to like go through. I'm not too sure what it is. The Shadowhunters Codex, I think it's like, wow, literally the codex, like things so you can get to know them and stuff. I don't know, it does look interesting. I'm excited to get to that. Then we have the Immortal Instruments series. So we have Clockwork Angel, Clockwork Prince, and also Clockwork Princess. I have done the order where I'm doing the first 3 of the Immortal Instruments series, and then I switched to something else. I think it was this series. I'm doing it that way. I'm not too sure without looking at the thing that I have, but that's the way I decided to do it, and I am enjoying the series so far with the way I have done it. Okay, then we have the other 3 books in the Legacy of God series. So we have God of Ruin, and I'm so excited to get to this one now because literally the other day, or was it yesterday? Yesterday or the other day, I saw a quote on TikTok for this, and it made me want to pick it up straight away, but I was like, no, I'm going to wait until February, as that is when I have more time. I don't really have time to be picking up books that I haven't planned to read yet. So I am excited for this one now. Before I was excited, but I wasn't like dying to pick it up, and that's why I haven't read it yet, but I'm very excited for it. But the books I really want to get to is God of Fury, as I've heard amazing things about it. This is a romance as well, so I feel like it's going to be different and switching things up from the series, as all the books have different vibes. I've noticed, I don't know if that's just me, but I just feel like they do have different vibes, and this is the one I'm more excited for. And then we also have God of War, which I'm also excited for, as this is also another one that I've heard good things about. So I do want to get to the last 2 books, but I have 3 left in the series. And then we also have Good Half Gone by Taryn Fisher. This one has been on my TBR for a while as well. Well, not a while, I think since like August, but it's one I've been talking about a lot, saying I want to read a lot, and I just haven't got to yet, so I do obviously need to do that. And then we have The Principle of Moments, and this one I do need to read in February, because this one was my wrapped February pick, so I do need to read this one either way. I don't know anything about it, I haven't heard people talking about it, I don't know any reviews about it, so I am kind of going into it blind. It does seem like some type of like sci-fi though, and I'm not big on sci-fi, so I don't know if I'm going to enjoy this, but I'm going to give it a go anyway, because sometimes it is good to try things that you never normally would. And then we have Unteachable. I believe that this is a teacher-student romance. This is also a newer book on my TBR, but I'm excited to read this one, as I was specifically, I don't know why, but one day I was like, oh, I'm going to look for teacher-student romances. I haven't read one in a while, and I saw this one, and I just haven't picked it up yet. It was one of those that I brought it, and then I was like, actually I don't fancy this anymore. I changed my mind quite a lot, if you haven't noticed already. But I'm intrigued, because this is where he is her film class teacher, and I haven't read a teacher-student romance like that before. Normally it's like the English teacher or the art teacher, and you know, the classic like that. So I feel like it's going to be a little bit different. Then we have This Could Be Us. I'm excited for this one just because I loved Before I Let Go. That one was so enjoyable. The writing was beautiful. I just loved everything about this book. But I've heard people say that they loved this one more, so I'm even more excited about this one. I have Wild Eyes by Elsie Silver. I love Elsie Silver's books, especially the Chestnut Spring series. I also love the first book in this series, and this one is a single dad trope, like single dad nanny trope to be more specific, and I love that trope. Probably one of my favourite tropes, so I know I'm going to like this, there's no doubt, and that's why I've been putting it off. I don't want to get to it and it be over. Then we have The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden. Again, this is one I've been wanting to read since I got it, which was my birthday. This one I've heard so many good things about, and obviously I love Frida McFadden's books. She's probably one of my favourite mystery thriller authors. They're just so quick to read and always interesting. There's always a plot twist. This one sounds the most interesting. I'm excited to get to it. This will probably be one of the first ones I read. Then we have The Striker. Again, another one I'm going to love just because it's from Anna Huang. I love Anna Huang's books. Well, most of them. Oh, this is about a footballer. I don't know too much about it. I just know that I'm going to like. Oh, and she's his rival's sister. Even more fun. Then we have Hello Stranger by Catherine Center. This one I'm excited for because I love The Bodyguard by Catherine Center, but also this is different from what I normally read because she actually has face blindness, so I feel like it's going to be more interesting because I've never read a book like that before. I think I have actually, but it was a mystery thriller, but this is a romance, so I feel like it's a little bit different. Okay, I need to speed this up because I still have so many to go through. I even have all this to go and 2 more piles, so let's speed this up a little. So then we have The Worst Best Man by Lucy Score. I am excited for this one because I haven't read a Lucy Score book in a while. I don't actually know what this is about, but I'm going to guess it's about the worst best man, no pun intended, is what the title is. And then we have Two Twisted Crowns, which is the second book from One Dark Window. I've had some people love this one more than the first one, and then I've had some people say that the first one, like, they like them both the same. But I am excited for this one, obviously. And then we have The Serial Killer's Daughter, and this is the second book from The Serial Killer's Wife. I did enjoy that one, so I'd like to continue with the series. Okay, then we have this series. So we have the Dexter series. I'm going to call it the Dexter series. I'm not sure what it's called. We have the first book, which is Darkly Dreaming Dexter. I haven't actually read this one, but I would like to reread it as I have the rest of the series to read, and I don't remember anything about it because I think I read it in like 2021 or 2022. I read it years ago, so I don't remember anything about it. Then we have the second book, which is Dearly Devoted Dexter. I have the third one, which is Dexter in the Dark. We have the fourth one, which is Dexter by Design. Dexter is Delicious. Then we have Double Dexter. Dexter is Dead. And then finally, Dexter's Final Cut. So I am excited for them because I love the TV show. Probably like one of my favourites. And so I'm excited to finally get to the books. And like I said, I don't remember much about the first, so I don't know anything about like the writing style or really remember anything about the story. Then we have The Institute by Stephen King. I need to get to this because I was saying all well, not all of 2024, but like the end of 2024. Since I got this, I'm going to read it. I'm going to get into Stephen King. I haven't yet done that. I know I need to. I know you're probably sick of hearing me say it, so I'm going to try my best, but I'm not going to make any promises because I keep promising and I keep breaking it. But I do want to get into Stephen King, and this is the one I want to start with. Then we have the last 3 books in the Never After series. This is going to be pretty much the first series I'm going to be reading for the 60 books in 60 days. We have Wretched. I don't know what this one is about, but it says a woman can be great and terrible too, so I'm going to guess it's about like a strong female character, which I like books like that. Then we have Twisted, and I'm nervous for this one because this one was the one I was looking forward to, but now I've heard controversial things about it, so I am a little bit nervous. His diamond in the rough is her worst nightmare. Is it like an enemies to lovers? Then we have Crossed, and this one says he is righteousness, she is sin. This is me without reading the back because I kind of want to go into them blind, but I'm excited for this one. Then we have The Darkest Temptation. This is the last book in the series, and the series, I don't know how to feel about the series because the first book I read and okay, like I don't even want to say I liked it. It was okay. And then I read the second one, and that took me months to read, but I don't know if that's because I was in a reading slump or generally because I wasn't liking it, but I remember liking the end. So I was going to reread it, and then I was like, actually I don't want to, because you don't need to, because this is interconnected standalones. So I'm going to go into this one, but I'm nervous because I went big on the first 2 books. And then we finally have the rest of the Boys of Tommen series. So I showed you Burn in 13, but we also have Keep in 13, Save in 6, and then also Redeem in 6. Oh, and Taming 7. Then we have Fangirl Down by Tessa Bailey. I have already read the second book in the series, but that's because I believe you can read them as standalones. At least I hope so, because I've already done it, but I don't remember much about the second book, and I only read it recently, so it says a lot. But Tessa Bailey is a hit or miss author for me. I either really like her books or I just don't. And so I'm nervous for this one, but I have been hearing some positive things about it, kind of. But it's, I think, a grumpy sunshine. He's a golfer, but I'm intrigued. Then we have The Ashes and Star-Cursed King. So this is the second book without the novella, third book with the novella. And I really enjoyed the first book, but I don't remember details because it's been a while. So that is the only reason why I've been putting this off. So I'm going to try and find a video or something where it has like a recap so that I don't have to reread the first book. And I only read it recently, and I remember enjoying it. But obviously because it's fantasy, all like the main information is gone. And obviously because this is the second book, it's just going to pick up from the last. That's the only reason why I haven't read this yet. But I am excited for it. If I can find a recap, then obviously I'm just going to go straight into this after watching it. But otherwise I may have to read the first book. As like I said, I don't remember details. And obviously I can't go into the second one because I'm not going to like this one. And I don't want to ruin my experience with the series. We have Pucking Around by Emily Raff. This is a hockey romance, and I'm hoping to read this one soon again. I'm very excited for it. I've heard controversial things about it. Some people are like, I hate this, I can't stand this, and probably DNF it. But then I've also heard people rate it 5 stars and they love it. But this one is actually a twist because I do believe it's an MMF romance. But I am intrigued. I'm also nervous because why does a romance book have to be this thick? I just don't understand, and I will never understand. But do I keep reading romances that are this big? Yes, because they are all becoming this big now. And then we have House on Earth and Blood by Sergio Massi. This has been on my TBR for a while. Obviously, everyone loves this. I've read Throne of Glass series, loved it. I read the Akatar series, loved it. I just need to read this one, but I'm nervous because, again, the size. But I can't really say that because, I mean, those books are big, if not bigger. But I'm just nervous, you know. I don't like big books, and that I do, but they like me forever to get to because they intimidate me. That's what I was looking for. So I do have this one, but then I also have the second one, which is House of Sky and Breath. And again, it's a chunky one. So, and I feel like I'm going to want to read these back to back. And that's one of the reasons why I've been putting it off as well. We have Under Luck by Mara Zapata. I am excited to get into another Mara Zapata book because it's been a while. I do like Mara Zapata books, but obviously there's slow burn romances, but then there's slow burn romances, and that is what Mara Zapata does. And sometimes you have to be in the mood for that slow burn, you know. And I say it like that because there's, like I said, there's slow burn, but then there's like slow burn where they don't like kiss until like this far into the book. Then we have Life's Too Short by Abby Jimenez. This is the last book in the series, and honestly I want to read this because then I've completed another series that I'm in the middle of, and let me tell you, there's too many of them. And I am excited for it as well because I read Happily Ever After Playlist more recently. I think it was in December. No, I think it was December. And I like that, so I'm excited for this one. This is when Vanessa quit her job to pursue her dream of traveling the globe. She wasn't expecting to gain millions of YouTube followers. That sounds interesting. And then we have the last 2 books in this series, Love series by Anna Huang. That's why I said I enjoy some of Anna Huang's books, but because this series I'm not a fan of. I read the first 2 books. They are very short books, but they feel like they drag on forever. Like, I just don't know what it was. But obviously this was Anna Huang's debut series. Completely understandable. First 2 books was about the same couple. These 2 are about 2 different couples. So we have If Love Had a Price. I'm hoping I'll like it a little bit more now that it's about different couples, because I wasn't a fan of the first 2 characters. We'll see. And then we also have If We Were Perfect. Okay, and just to make my life a little bit easier, I have the rest of the Bridgerton series. I've read the first one. I've read this one I'm holding in my hand. But just to make my life a little bit easier, because the rest of the series is like on this bottom shelf behind this, I thought I'll just grab the first one. And I think you get the gist that I've got the rest of the series to read, just to make my life a little bit easier after all this chaos. Okay, now let's go through the TBR cart. It's going to be well because it's double-sided. So first off, we have Becoming a Caliber. That is not the title of this book at all. Then we have Becoming Calder. I think that's how you say it, by Miss Sheridan. I want to read more Miss Sheridan books because I loved Archer's voice. And so I wanted, obviously, another series. And I've heard some good things about this one. And then we also have Grayson's Vow by Mia Sheridan, which is the 2nd book in the series. I don't know too much about the series at all. And obviously we have Finding Eden, which is the 3rd. I originally only had the first 2, so I didn't start the series. But now I've got no excuse because I have the 3rd book. Then we have The Wrong Mr. Right. Originally I was going to save this until the summertime, and I mean I probably still will. I don't know, I'm going to see how I feel during the challenge. I don't know anything about it. It just says, in small town bookstore I'm surrounded by book boyfriends, but I've never had one in real life. Then we have Thin Roads Forever, which is the 2nd book I think. And then we have That Kind of Guy. Now, I know that there's a 4th book in the series, or somewhere. If I remember correctly, I have the 1st, 2nd, 3rd. No, I think I don't have the 3rd one. I don't have one of the books in the series, and that's one of the reasons why I haven't started the series yet. I know it's not an excuse because I can read it on my Kindle, or I can just buy the copy, but that is one of the reasons. We have Fallen Too Far by Abby Glines. I brought this one thinking, oh, I want to read it. I've been wanting to read it for a while, but honestly, I don't really have the interest anymore, but I have been thinking to myself, I'm like, I'm going to give it a go. If I don't like it, I can always just DNF, because that is the rule I have in 2025 with myself. If I'm not liking it, DNF. End of story. Same with The Burning. I brought it thinking, oh, this sounds interesting. I haven't heard anything about it, but then I was like, you know what, I'm going to give it a go. If I don't like it, I can DNF. That is the good thing about books, is you can DNF them if you're not liking them. Then we have The Murder Room. I brought this in August. I'm so excited for it. There is no reason for why I haven't started it yet. It sounds good because it says, your house should be the safest place in the world, but imagine you rent out a room and the unthinkable happens. Someone is murdered in it. You can't tell me that doesn't sound good. Then we have The Fake Wife by Sharon Bolton. Now, recently I read The Split by Sharon Bolton, and it was 2 stars, and I was tempted to DNF it, but then realised I only had 50 pages left. So I don't know if that was me, and because I'm in a weird place with my reading right now, or if because it was the book. So I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm hoping that this one is better, because it does sound more up my street than The Split did. And then obviously this one I've had for years. I didn't even realise it was from the same author. But we also have The Pact, and I'm not too sure about this one. At the time I thought it sounded interesting. Now I'm like, I'm not really in the mood, but I'm a mood reader. I always have those moods. I have Savour It. I've read books from this author before, and I have liked them. They're quick, easy, fast, easy to read if you're in a reading slump, which is I think me right now. And so I am excited for this one. I haven't really had many people talking about it, but when I read the back it did sound good. And then we have Love Me Not and also Liar Liar. Now the only problem with these 2 is I know that they're in a very big series, but I just don't know if I can read them kind of as standalones and like interconnected. It doesn't matter, or if I have to read them in order. So the only reason why I haven't started these yet is because I don't know, and I've got to do a little bit of research into it. So I have been wanting to read them, but I just gotta do the research. Then we have Guild and Glint, and this is the first 2 books in the series called the Plated Prisoner series, and I've heard so many good things about this series, and I have been wanting to pick it up for a while. I just haven't, because fantasy makes me nervous. I'm gonna be for real. If you haven't noticed, most of my TBR is fantasy books, but that's just because I'm scared to pick them up. I want to because I've heard amazing things about it, but they just intimidate me for some reason. I know that the series gets bigger because the size of the last book is wild to me, but I do really want to give these a go and get to them very soon, because like I said, I've heard so many good things about them. Everyone always hypes them up. I don't think I've heard a bad thing about this series. I have Dance of Thieves and Vow of Thieves, and again, I haven't heard a single bad thing about this series. I always hear people rating both books 5 stars, and so I need to get to them. It's just, again, fantasy makes me nervous. Then we have Filthy Rich Vampire. Filthy Rich Vampire Second Right. I'm going to guess the series is called Filthy Rich Vampire. Filthy Rich Vampire 3 Queens, and then Filthy Rich Vampire The Eternity. And I'm excited for this because it's obviously about vampires, and I love fantasy books that are about vampires. I don't know why. Anything to do with vampires, I like. Then we have The Maidens, and I have actually started this, but then I put it down because it wasn't the time. I just wasn't enjoying it, but I don't know if that's because it just wasn't the time. So I did decide to put it down. But I read The Silent Patient by this author, loved it. And so I have heard great things about this book. I don't think it was anything to do with the book, but I've heard great reviews about it. I'd like to give it another chance when I'm in the mood. Have These Violent Delights. Again, I did start this years ago. I think I read a few pages, but it just didn't feel like the time, so I did put it down. But I am excited for this one because it's like an enemies to lovers type thing, where, or friends to enemies to lovers, or lovers to, it was something to do with that. We have The It Girl by Ruth Ware. This is on my July TBR, and I wanted to read it, but unfortunately I just didn't have time to get to it. And then the want to read it just disappeared. I was excited for it, I wanted to read it, but because I just didn't have time to pick it up, that kind of just went. And again, that is what being a mood reader is like, but I am still excited for it because it does sound really good and interesting. Then we have Love Me Do, and this is kind of like a book that I'm going to use as like an audio book, as it seems like one of those easy audiobook listens. Again, I was going to save it until summer, but I don't know if I am going to, as it did end up on my March TBR. And then we have the third book in the series, and that is The Serial Killer's Sister. Again, I would like to continue the series, and they are really quick reads as well. We have Roomies by Christina Lauren. This has been on too many TBRs. It's been on my physical TBR too long. There's no reason for it. I just need to get to it because I do like Christina Lauren's writing and books. So I don't know why I've been putting it off. It's just something that I have been doing. Then we have A Study in Drowning, and again, this is another fantasy book. I have been hearing more people talking about this, and there's been a lot of good reviews about it, but when I brought it, I hadn't heard a single thing about it. It does sound really interesting and different from what I normally read, so I am very excited to give this a go. Then we have more Tessa Bailey books. So we have Chase Me, Need Me, and Make Me. Now, Chase Me I have actually read, and I read it in 2023, if I remember correctly, and I rated it 1 star. But I just think maybe because I wasn't in the mood for it at the time. I read this for a video called Mom Chooses My Reads for a Week, so maybe I just wasn't in the mood to pick it up at the time. So you can read these as interconnected standalones, I believe, but I would like to give this one another go. Then we have The Truth About Melody Brown by Lisa Jewell. Lisa Jewell is, again, a hit or miss author for me. I either love their books or just don't get on with them. Now, this one I haven't really heard too many things about, or actually, if anything, I haven't really heard anyone talking about it, so that is why I haven't picked it up, because I don't know what the opinions are. But when I do read the back, it does sound interesting and different from what I normally read. It says, now she's a single mother of a teenage boy living in a council flat in central London. She works as a dinner lady at her son's school and has no idea where her humdrum life is heading, until one summer night when a stage hypnosis inadvertently unlocks the memories of her childhood. At first, the new memories mean nothing to her, but slowly, day by day, Melody begins to piece together the real story of her childhood. See, it does sound interesting. Have Love Lessons in Starcross Valley. This is, again, another like summary type one. So that's the vibe it's giving. Oh no, it's giving fall vibes. It's giving fall vibes, but I'm not going to wait until fall to read it, I don't think. And again, it kind of seems like a quick read that I can just read in like a sitting, which is good for 60 books in 60 days. Then we have Across the Line, and I'm excited for this one because it's another F1 romance, and I haven't read an F1 romance since reading the Dirty Air series by Lauren Asher, and I really enjoyed the F1 racing type books when I was reading the Dirty Air series. So I'm excited for this one because honestly, I haven't really seen many F1 romances. Then we have I'll Always Be With You by Monica Murphy. This is the last book in the Lancaster Prep series, and I'm going to be completely honest, the more I've been thinking about this series, the more I realise I don't like it. I hate it, it's not for me. And it's because the way the men talk about the women is absolutely disgusting, and I did realise that when I was reading it. But the more I think about it, the more I'm like, I was bored while reading. I hate all the men. Absolutely hate. Like, the way they, like I said, talk about women is disgusting. So at first I was like, do I want to continue with the series? But I thought I do kind of want to finish it. I've only got one more book. So I might complete it, I might not. I'm going to see how I feel. But like I said, the more I think about the series, the more I realise it wasn't for me. Then we have Watching You by Lisa Jewell, and this one does sound really interesting because it says you need to find a place of your own, but for now you're crashing in your big brother's spare room. And then you meet the man next door. He's the head teacher at the local school, twice your age, extraordinarily attractive. You find yourself watching him all the time. You never dreamed that day your innocent crush might become a deadly obsession, or that someone is watching you. Hey look, it does sound interesting. I do feel like I am going to enjoy this one. The only problem is, of why I've been putting it off, is it seems thick, but like the font is really big, so I know it's not going to take me long. It's just kind of intimidating when you see a mystery thriller that is like this big. Then we have Good Boy by Elle Kennedy and Serena Bowen. I don't know too much about this one, and that is why I haven't picked it up, but the cover is cute and I'm excited for it because I have read books from both of these authors before and have enjoyed both authors' books. And then we have A Kyland by Mia Shidden and also Stinger by Mia Shidden. This is the series I'm most looking forward to, as I have been hearing more things about Kyland. But again, I don't know too much about the series in general. We have Great and Precious Things by Rebecca Yarros. I love Rebecca Yarros' writing. I loved Fourth Wing. I'm Flame Was. I'm not even going to talk about it. Onyx Storm I'm currently reading. At the last letter, I cried. And unfortunately there is a video on YouTube of that happening. And then there's also things that I wanted to say but never did. And that one, it wasn't really for me. So I have mostly good experiences with Rebecca Yarros' books. But also if it's a good experience, I cry. So I am very nervous for this one because it does seem like one I'm going to cry at. It says 6 years ago when Camden Daniels came back from the war without his younger brother, no one in his small hometown would forgive him, especially his father. He left, swearing never to return. When he receives a desperate message from his father, all of the memories come rushing back. The betrayal, the pain, the only hope Camden has is that home is where the only person he still loves is waiting, Willow. But when Camden arrives, long buried secrets resurface and it becomes clear that he and Willow can never be together. If only he could tell his heart to stay locked away when she whispers that she's always loved him and always will. I mean, even that just makes me want to cry. And then I can't imagine me reading this during this challenge, but it's on my physical TBR, and that is The Night Before Christmas and The Winter Kill. I did start the series in December, but honestly by the time December rolls around I might have to restart the series, but I am excited for both of these books. Okay, then we have Watching the Ghost by Kate Ellis, and I've read one book by this author before and I didn't like it. It took me ages to read. Also, the story felt like it was all over the place. It didn't feel like it really had it wasn't really planned out well. But I thought I'd give the author another go, and I did decide on this one as it is the shortest. So we'll see. But if I don't like this one, then I just know this author isn't for me personally. And then we have The Rebound, and I have been hearing quite a few things about this one more recently, and it does sound really good. I am excited about it. And then we have Love at First Flight. I haven't heard anyone talking about this one. I haven't heard any reviews. I just saw it in the shop and thought it looked and sounded good. Okay, and then as you can see here, I have 10 books that are wrapped. Originally I had 12, but I am also doing a challenge with my mum where she wrapped these. She wrapped 12, and I've got to unwrap one each month. So I won't be reading any of these, but they are on my TBR. I couldn't tell you what books they are because I generally don't remember. We have Kill for Me, Kill for You. I'm excited for this one. I have heard amazing things about it. I've heard that people love the writing style of this one, and also the way that things are written, in a sense. That's all I've really heard. But I've never read by this author before, I don't think, and so I'm excited to even try a new author. We have The Wake Up Call by Beth O'Larry. Beth O'Larry's books are generally not for me, I would like to say. They're always 2 or 3 stars. I don't think they've ever been higher than that. But I'm intrigued in this one because it does sound good, but I just don't think Beth O'Larry's writing is personally for me, as times it does feel like it is going quite slow. But I am going to read this one anyway. We have another Christina Lauren book, which is Dating You Hating You, which has also been on my TBRs for months, and it just needs to go. I need to read it. Then we have Mixed Signals. This is the 3rd book in the series, but I read the 1st. I haven't read the 2nd because I don't own it, so I haven't read the 3rd, but I do own the 3rd. Little White Lies by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I saw Rachel Catherine reading this, and I mean, I thought I'd give it a go because it does look interesting, and I do love Jennifer Lynn Barnes's books. I do believe, I could be wrong, but I think this is Jennifer Lynn Barnes' debut novel. But there is a 2nd book to this as well. Then we have Twin Crowns. I'm nervous for this one just because it is quite thick, and I hear controversial things about it again, but I'm intrigued by it because it does sound interesting. It says it's about a princess who is trained from birth to fear witches that killed her parents, and she has to defend her kingdom. Can't tell me that doesn't sound good. Then we have Emma, and I do love classics. Wanting to get to this one, but I just haven't yet. I've watched the movie, I like the movie, so I am intrigued in the book. And I also have like a hit or miss time with the classics, because the only one I've ever really fully enjoyed was Pride and Prejudice, and that is one of my favourite books. I'm hoping I'll also really like this one, as I did like the movie, but sometimes obviously they are a little bit different. Then we have Last Time We Met. This one has also been on my TBR for way too long, so I need to get it off, and hopefully I can do that very soon. But it seems like it's in different timelines. I could be wrong. I don't actually know too much about this. And then we have Protecting What's Mine and also Finding Mine. This is the second and third book, also by Score. Now, first book, I can tell you where that is, and I have a feeling it's wrapped, but I do also have these two. And then lastly, we have What Hunts Inside the Shadows, and I was just looking for the first one. I was like, where's the first one? I think it's also wrapped. Proves that I don't remember anything anymore. But yeah, I do also have the second book to this as well. I think that's the end. Is that the end? Am I finished? I'm so happy. Okay, so I think I've finally got to the end. There are so many books. I actually don't know how many books are here. You know what? I might count them just for fun. So I am going to leave the number here for when I count them. This is how many books I have on my physical TBR. I already know it's a lot. But thank you all so much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe and leave this emoji for watching to the end. And I hope to see you all in my next one. Bye!